Welcome to BNC Live. I'm Laverne McGee. Thank you for joining me on this Monday, November the 29th. I hope you had a great Thanksgiving weekend. Well, once after things seem to be getting back to normal across the world, a new strain of the coronavirus once again has countries shutting their borders to tourists. Several countries have once again shut down their borders to keep the Omicron variant at bay as scientists race to figure out how dangerous exactly it is. Earlier today, President Biden addressed the country about his administration's efforts to protect Americans as new travel restrictions are now being imposed.
This variant is a cause for concern, not a cause for panic. We have the best vaccine in the world, the best medicines, the best scientists, and we're learning more every single day. And we'll fight this variant with scientific and knowledgeable actions and speed, not chaos and confusion.
World leaders are taking action to safeguard against the new strain. The United States, Europe, Canada, and Chile, just some of the nations banning travel from Africa, where the Omicron strain was first discovered. The World Health Organization is urging nations to trust the science before making decisions. Well, joining me now is emergency medical physician Dr. Anand Swaminathan, and also we are joined by Vivian Pommier, president of West End Travel. Thank you both for joining us. Doctor, I'll begin with you. What approach would you like to see health officials take here in this country to control this variant if it does make its way to the United States?
Well, I think that this variant is probably already in the United States. We've found time and time again that when we identify one of these strains, they're already within our borders. Our ability to track and do genomic sequencing is far worse than many other countries, including South Africa, where this was first identified. Let's remember that just because it was identified there doesn't mean that's where it originated. It's just that their technology and the speed with which they do this genomic processing is very good. There's a lot we don't know about Omicron right now, but I'll tell you that these travel bans are unnecessary. They're not science-based, and they're not going to be very effective. If we actually thought they were useful, then we should have shut the borders down on Friday. Instead, we waited a couple of days, letting travelers back. There's nothing about my passport that makes me resistant to this strain. That means that I would be able to return to the States and not undergo a quarantine process. And honestly, when we look at this travel ban, it really doesn't make sense that we're banning flights from certain areas and not other areas where this Omicron variant has been identified. It really seems like these bans are xenophobic. Honestly, they seem a little bit racist in terms of where we are banning returning people or people coming from. It doesn't really make a lot of sense. And what we should be instead pushing is for everybody to get vaccinated. So anybody out there who hasn't gotten their vaccinations, this is the time to do it. Get vaccinated now. If you're eligible for a booster, get your booster. We need to be masking. We need to be spacing. We need to not be gathering indoors in large groups, and get your kids vaccinated. I got my 13-year-old was vaccinated fully in June. My 10-year-old got her second dose yesterday, and my 6-year-old gets his second dose tonight. If we do that, then we might be able to stop the spread of this Omicron variant, or at least control it a little bit better.
You made some interesting points there. What stood out to me is you don't think the border should be closed. So Vivian, I'm going to ask you to respond because we may not be letting people in from certain countries, but should we be traveling to other countries right now?
Once again, I will agree with the doctor that it's a matter of how many vaccines you've had and the availability. The scary thing is that a lot of the countries that people are trying to go to in South Africa, they have a maximum vaccination rate of maybe around 28%. So you might be risking some danger upon arrival, because we still have seen people that have had all these vaccines encounter the Omicron or one of the other variables. But at the same time, it's not even a matter of going there. It's if you are there and you need to come back. So many countries are shutting down or not allowing flights to leave, that it is difficult for people that are U.S. citizens or legal U.S. residents to get back here.
Yeah, and that's definitely the concern, because if you're traveling and then suddenly they decide to announce a travel ban, you're in a difficult position. So, Doctor, I'd like to address this with you. What is the best way to handle traveling, to handle life as we know it, really? It almost feels like we're going through this again. We hadn't heard about a new strain in a while. Not that we had been affected poorly by a new strain. So, Doctor, what are your thoughts on how now do we deal with this. We hear about this. People, of course, get nervous. What is the reality?
I think from a travel perspective, there are things that we know would be safe. So travel domestically, that you're never going to get stopped from returning to the state that you came from. So traveling domestically is good, but I don't think that you should be traveling if you're not vaccinated. Unless you're fully vaccinated, there's no reason to be traveling because you run a higher risk of contracting any variant that's out there, whether it is Delta, which has been spreading across the country for months now, or if it's Omicron, if that is here. So there's no reason to be traveling. And honestly, I think that the US government should be helping to support this and helping us to protect each other when we're traveling by mandating vaccinations to take air travel. So even if you're traveling domestically, you should be mandated to have a vaccine. You should be mandated to test negative before you get on that flight to ensure the other passengers around you that you are doing your part to protect them. That is what we should be doing as good citizens. As far as the safety of travel, I think it's less about the flight and more about what you do when you arrive wherever you're going. In general, I would tell people don't travel to places that are having huge surges right now. That doesn't make a lot of sense. So you might want to pick your travel based on places that maybe don't have as many cases going on right now, and then be safe. So wear your mask, keep your mask on indoors, don't gather indoors. So traveling for a wedding in a place that's having a surge might not make the most sense, even if you are fully vaccinated.
But doctor, I got to follow up with you because there are people in other countries who think that the United States is full of COVID cases and they don't want to deal with us. What do you say about the way it's being handled in this country? Because I got to be honest, I'm a journalist and I'm busy trying to keep track of where the country has a surge and where it doesn't. I mean, I don't even know if you could tell me right now where has a surge in the US.
It's definitely hard. And I agree with you. There are other countries where they have said, we don't really want Americans traveling here because COVID has been really going pretty crazy throughout the states over this whole 2 years. Yes, we see places that surge and then fade. And right now we're seeing huge surges across the Midwest, the upper North. That's where this is really kind of hitting. And there are lots of reasons that we can hypothesize that's happening, although we don't know exactly why these surges start or stop in different areas. And I think that really we're in one of these situations where, again, if you're fully vaccinated and you test negative before you travel, then you're in a pretty safe place. And it's not just that you're safe, but you're protecting those around you. And that's really our job. Our job as citizens is to protect those around us as much as we want to protect ourselves. So if you're traveling, be fully vaccinated. If you haven't gotten your first vaccines, go and get them now. They are free, they're extremely effective. And even with this Omicron variant, where we're talking about maybe there is some immune evasion going on, with high levels of antibodies, it's very likely that you can still fight off that variant.
And doctor, I want to continue on this real quick because we do have an update from the World Health Organization. They just warned that the new variant poses a, quote, very high risk and could lead to surges. That's fresh news. I'd like you to respond to that.
Again, we need more data here because there's a couple of different issues with Omicron that we don't really have it completely teased out. Is it more transmissible? Well, we have some data that makes us worried about that it could be a more transmissible variant, but we don't have enough data to tell us that that is true. Does it cause more severe disease? The limited data that we have on that says it doesn't if you've been vaccinated before, but it is very limited data. And that's something that we're going to see develop over the next week or two as those cases start to increase. And then finally, does it evade our current vaccines or prior infection and having antibodies? And again, we don't really know the answer to that question. So I think it's reasonable for the WHO to be saying, hey, we got to be careful here. But we really don't have enough data to tell us how dangerous this variant is and whether it's going to have immune evasion or cause more serious cases.
So Vivian, you're hearing the doctors say we just don't have enough information, but people get spooked. The markets were spooked. Are you concerned about the travel and tourism industry and people perhaps not visiting these countries that they may have planned on?
Well, first of all, I totally agree with the doctor, and I think that we all should support travel within the United States at the same time. But if you are going to travel and you're looking at traveling to any of Europe or Asia or anything, it's in your best interest to go on the CDC site and see what level each country has, 2, 3, 4, and know to be smart and not to hit countries that have a 3 or a 4. And unfortunately, also, the travel industry was just rebounding. So now we have tickets, people that have tickets that are non refundable again, or that need to be pushed back. And it's causing a lot of concern. And people that are also right now, as I'm sure you're aware, that are over in Africa and over in Europe and are now having problems just even getting back. So there's a lot of readjusting that people have to do. And as mentioned, it's very important to stay safe and, not go to crowded areas, make sure that you are masked at all times, including on flights, and have, as far as travel in general, please have patience with the people at the airports and hotels. I mean, that to me is another essential factor.
Absolutely. I can't believe we have to have this conversation again so close to the holidays, but thank you both for joining us, Dr. Anand Swaminathan and Vivian Pommier. We appreciate you being with us here on BNC.